because this guy inspired us. Like I said, the last time we had him on a show, and Lubie, you know this to be true. How long was I bugging you to get Mike MacIntyre, the head coach of the FIU football team, on this program? Because the minute I saw his kind of introductory press conference and the speech that he gave, I was so inspired. I went out and started throwing a ball.
Like, let's
It was
go.
great.
Where?
Coach, welcome to the program. Good to have you on. How are you?
I am glad to be on. I enjoyed my last time on with y'all. I know y'all been watching all the March Madness.
Well,
Sure,
we got into it. Yeah, we love when, I mean, everybody loves a giant upset. I mean, this would be, tantamount to FIU, getting into the playoff tournament next year, which would be great, and we're all hoping for that.
Yes.
I wanted to start here though, and it's a little off the beaten path for college football and what you're doing with FIU and the football program there. But your star quarterback comes to you, and he's been at the school a few years. And he says, Coach, during the offseason, I'm going to skip the offseason workouts and I'm going into a darkness retreat. Now, maybe when I was going to school, that might have been more commonplace, and the coach would have just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Yeah, it's better than going to that hippie rally against the war." But what would your reaction be if your quarterback started to show signs that maybe he was being influenced by elements of the occult?
Right. Well, in college, he would flunk out of school, so he couldn't do that. He wouldn't be able to be gone that long. So that helped us in college. There's no doubt about it. I thought that's. I think he just wanted to get away from everybody, right, and try to rest his mind and figure out where he was going to go. But I think he probably knew where he was going before he did all that.
Sure seemed like it, didn't it? I mean, since Fireman Ed was kind of riding in the car with him as he was going to the retreat, I had a funny feeling that it was going to end up being the Jets. Do you follow all of that? I mean, are you a big fan of the pro game?
I coached in the NFL for 5 years.
Yes.
Four with Bill Parcells, which was awesome, and then one at the New York Jets. So I know the Fireman Ed, the chant and everything they do.
Yes.
I just saw a little bit on Twitter about it and everything, but he's an amazing quarterback, and I thought it was funny when I was hearing it, and that they had Brett Favre go there, and now so I guess when you finish at the Packers as a great quarterback, you go to the Jets. That's what.
And the problem the Jets have, and maybe this comes out when you were there, did you sense that there was any influence of the curse of Ken O'Brien, where the Jets will forever be cursed for taking him over Marino?
Curse on that, no.
There was no evidence of that. Were there pictures of O'Brien and Marino up there, possibly on the draft board left from that night when the Jets made that fatal mistake? Although O'Brien had an okay career, I guess, by some standards, but he certainly wasn't Dan Marino. The Jets' next move, though, Coach MacIntyre, was to see if Bart Starr had any interest in coming back from the dead to quarterback the team. So we're hoping for them. That it works out. All right. Where are you at with, what is transpiring right now? Is it quiet on the Western Front?
All right.
When it comes to
it's never
college
quiet.
All right.
We're getting ready. We start spring practice on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
On the 21st. So we're excited about that. We'll have 15 spring practice days. We got our spring game is on April 22nd at 6:30, and then we also are having a scrimmage in Charles Hadley Park. There in Liberty City on April 8th, Saturday, April 8th. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we got a lot of things going this spring. All spring practices are big. That's what coaches say, of course. And so we're excited about that. We got a lot of newcomers that already came in school in January. So we look forward to seeing how they do out at practice. So it's a big for us to make this is a time to make a jump with your team. And we're excited about that.
Coach, we know in years past, it was very different, both in the pros and in the college game, when it came to access of the staff with players, when it came to access of practice. I mean, even when I was in college at FSU in the early 2000s, I remember I had an 8 o'clock class, and half of it was football players, and they had already had practice. I'm like, how the hell did you already have practice? And it's 8 o'clock in the morning. And then they had lifting, and then they had another practice. And we know they've limited a lot of that, and a lot of former players and coaches have said, look, that is actually both good and bad. What is it like now rules-wise when it comes to spring ball, when you guys want to go full bore, but I know they limit pads and they limit this and that? What is it like now, and how does that limit the growth of the team?
Yeah. That's a great question, but I'm blown away. You actually went to your 8 o'clock in the morning class, Lubie? You actually went to it? That's a miracle in itself.
He's dedicated, this kid.
I didn't even know they had 8 o'clock classes in the morning at FSU. So,
I might have
I guess you didn't make you probably didn't make Friday mornings 8 o'clock in the morning class in college.
Mondays was probably rough also, I would imagine.
Yeah. There are a lot of new rules on time limits. When we start spring practice, we basically get 20 hours a week with them of meetings and practice. But that doesn't take into the process of them coming over and getting treatment and eating and all that type of thing they have to do before, to get ready for practice, and all the things afterwards, and the treatments and the recovery pools and all the things that we do to make sure their bodies stay healthy. But there is a time limit on that. Back when I played, which was a long time ago, there was no time limit. But we all graduated. We all did well. So I don't know. I guess it's the way it is now. But there's limits to everything. We only get 15 practices. And so we have the 20 hours a week. So we practice Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. And on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, we meet, lift, walk through. We are a morning practice team. I love doing it that way. I think it's the best for the college student. We get them up, we feed them breakfast, we meet, we practice, we feed them lunch. Then they go to class in the afternoon. They have study hall. They're done with everything by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So then they can enjoy being a college student at night and doing different things. And so that's how we operate it. But there is a time limit, and we have to get it done in a certain amount of time when we start our first spring practice till the end. There's 34 days in there unless you have a spring break in there. So that's kind of how it works.
It's funny. You always hear this as you go into your spring practice sessions, and ultimately, I guess, the spring game. Coaches, managers in baseball, they always say, as you go into a preseason, every position is wide open. I mean, nobody's a lock here. And then, a guy in spring training will hit 450, make stellar plays at his position. The guy that was a regular hits a $116 and strikes out 13 times, in 20 at bats, and then he ends up starting on opening day. Yeah. How married to your roster are you in actuality, or is
Right.
Is it a battle for position that is of a genuine nature?
Right. It is a battle for position. It really is. Now, of course, ours that is different than the pros. If you're paying the guy $300 million to be he's going to play, right? I mean, your owner's not going to let you do that. So there is a difference on that side of it. But I think that what I'm noticing with our team, which is really good, I tell our guys all the time, and we're getting to that point, not quite where we want to be, but we sure are close, is a guy that was a starter last year. This year, he can look over his right shoulder and his left shoulder and go, that guy can beat me out. He's stronger. He's better. We sign another guy that's just as big as him, just as athletic. So the more depth you have on a football team, the better you're going to be, because injuries happen. It's a grinding season. So the more depth you have, the better you are. You always hear the things about, well, that team's really good on their first, 22, but after that they drop off. They have a hard time finishing the season. I believe we're closer to that than we were last year, a lot closer. And there's more competition, which when there's somebody that can beat you out, you work a little harder. You come a little more focused, and that helps everything rise. So that's what I'm seeing on our team right now.
So with the transfer portal, we've heard the positives where teams are able to fill roles via like a free agency. But we've also heard a lot of coaches, including the guy I would still consider the best coach in the game, even though he hasn't won the last 2 titles. Nick Saban himself will complain, you now have to worry about this and that, and people poaching. We keep hearing the word poaching.
Nick's always whining, though. I mean, we should qualify.
He always has something to whine about. But what's interesting to me is more and more coaches are complaining about this poaching thing. And Jim Boeheim talked about it with Coach Jim Larinaga taking players, whatever that means. How weary are you guys of that? Because a school like FIU, you produce a star, you can see that guy be wanted by other schools. How does any of it get to the coaches? How involved are you in that? Do you have to worry about your kids being whispered in their ear? Like, what is it like now with the transfer portal on a program like FIU? Right.
That's an excellent question. You have to, change is always good, right? Life is change. So we have to embrace change as coaches. These changes are good, but they also, when you have change, there's always unforeseen problems, correct? So what we have to do as a coach, the way I look at it is, I'm going to recruit really good players. We're going to build them and develop them. I'm going to try to create a culture here that guys want to stay here. And then if someone moves on, I need to be prepared to have someone replaced or get someone out of the portal. There's going to be a little movement, but hopefully we're able to keep our nucleus. We lost a couple good players that went to some Power 5 schools that they got NIL money that, that's what they got. And so, but we have a lot of good players here that will replace them and move forward. So it's a changing landscape. I do think there needs to be, when it was thrown in, it was kind of just thrown in and let's see what happens. I think as it keeps going on another year or two, that there'll be some more barriers created and that will help it kind of get to what we would end up calling a normalcy. Right now, there's really no normalcy, nothing to manage it with or measure it with. So you can either let it affect you and spoil all the kids that are here, or you can say, hey, that's what happened, and you move on and you keep working forward and go from there. So that's the approach I've taken. It does make a lot. I wouldn't say the word is worry. I think you better be planned correctly, understanding, hey, this could happen. You can't just hope that. So we always have a contingency plan in place. If we lose 2 or 3 guys at a position, we better have some guys prepared, or we better have a plan to be able to see other guys that we could get here. So that's how you have to work at it.
Coach Mike MacIntyre of FIU with us here on the Defo Show. Great having him on the program. And you were talking about transfer portal, losing players, and obviously newcomers are going to be on the roster. How much turnover on the roster do you anticipate overall? And then which one of your position coaches is saying thank you, Coach MacIntyre, thank you, Coach Mac. This kid is going to be a generational player. Is there somebody coming into the program that's going to create a buzz that the people around town will quickly recognize?
I think you're always going to have about a 33% turnover in college football, more than maybe you have in the past. But I think also at the same time, you better have guys in your freshman, quote, redshirt freshman classes that you keep recruiting so you can reload. You don't always have to just totally rely on transfers. Because sometimes that's not a good deal, because I think every transfer that comes in thinks they're going to start, right?
Yeah.
So that could be an issue if they're not totally bought into what you're going to do. It's also how you recruit those guys when they go in the portal. I think is very important doing that. And then we're excited about our team. We have some good players. I think that I think our D-line coach and O-line coach are a little more excited this year. We have more depth there. We have more size there. Some kids we redshirted that played a little bit. A couple transfer guys, and some of our older guys have gotten bigger and stronger and better. So we're deeper there. When we got here last year, we only had 6 offensive linemen on scholarship. It's hard to have a very good football program when it's that way. Now we have 15 guys, and they're involved and understand what's going on. And defensively, we've got more depth there too. So I would say our 2 lines are a little more excited this year than they were when we first got here last year at this time.
All right. I mean, you were looking at a situation last year where the team had not been successful prior to your arrival, even though, some very reputable coaches and guys that we knew well, Ron Turner and Butch Davis, certainly, very professional coaches were there before, and it was a tough situation. How many obstacles? Yeah.
They're excellent coaches. There's no doubt about it. I think there was a lot of factors that kind of went into all of that. And one of them was the portal and all that stuff hit.
Yeah.
And so when there's a coaching change and the COVID year, there's a lot of different things that caused a lot of issues to programs. And I think that one of the COVID year and a la coach retiring and everything with the transfer portal, that period of time allowed more kids to kind of search and go and leave, which they wouldn't have been that way in the past. And that's kind of why we were replenished more.
All right. How would you characterize your first season there, and what do you feel are going to be the building blocks for a successful year this year?
Yeah. Well, we made good strides. Of course, we wanted to be better than we were, but we had some first around here they've done in a while, which was big. We played on the road, played well on the road. We had some really exciting home games, came from behind a few times, which was really good. Didn't just stay down and out. So I feel like our kids that are playing now. We were basically the youngest team in America last year, play percentage wise. This year, we got a lot of those guys back. They kept maturing. They're bigger. They're stronger. So now we'll have more maturity to understand to just keep playing the game. Don't get down. It's such a roller coaster, right? There's different things that happen, and as you have experience, you understand that. So that's where I see us, the maturity wise, that will help us be better this coming year.
Look, we know being a coach, whether it's college or the NFL, is an around-the-clock job. They joke about, we've had Jimmy Johnson talk about he was literally at the office all but 5 hours a day in his years as a college and NFL coach when he was really into it. But you talked about the kids getting time to be college kids. Today is St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
How does Coach Mack celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Is Coach Mack, does he allow himself to
Ought to be a team dinner at the house, no?
Team dinner at the house. Yeah, that's a good idea. Though the guys are they worked out in here this morning. They're going to that, and then of course they'll enjoy St. Patrick's Day, and I think it's kind of spring break down here. So I lecture them on being careful with spring break with everybody coming down here, but they are college kids, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that at Florida State, y'all didn't do any spring breaking. I know studied all spring break. Yeah, so no doubt, but they're doing well. And today I'm kind of I'm not doing the usual St. Patrick's Day. I have my first grandson is in town, and he's 10 months old. So I'm going to go home this evening and be able to spend some time with my grandson Ford a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm excited about that.
All right. Well, I can vouch for the fact that your team battled hard last year because, and I've spoken about this, a little personal bookmaking venture I have with a friend of mine. He gave me FIU a couple of times, and you were there. I mean, you pull off remarkable plays and hang in tough at the end of the games, and managed to stay close to even what was deemed to be superior competition at the time. So. Maybe there isn't as much catching up to do as a lot of people, might perceive. Hey, we wish you all the best. Corned beef and cabbage on us tonight. I don't know. Do you do that, or you go out for cheeseburgers?
All right, that sounds good. Hey, we'd love for y'all to come out to practice sometime. Really would. Maybe
there's a deal.
Maybe you can do your show out there. I don't know.
We'd be happy to.
We'd love for you to. Our kids would love that. And that, if you'd like to, I know you'll be in touch with our people and Randy Press and different guys. And we got. We start Tuesday. We go all the way to April 22nd.
Nice.
Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So
Lubie has a qualifier, though.
So here's the deal.
Yeah.
I'm open to it. We now consider you a part of the Defo Show family. We're looking to see you on regularly. We were duped by this in the years past. Charlie Partridge, who's still a dear friend, and now at Pittsburgh, formerly at FIU, had us come out. And we're supposed to do the same thing. And I was going to run drills.
Yeah.
And this was 15 years ago. So Lubie was even younger. I'm open to doing the show and even doing some fun things. I don't want to die. I'm just going to tell you this now.
Yeah.
I don't want to die.
They had me against their center who was 6'8", 350, and he was on the Remington watch list for best centers in the country. And Defo and I are laughing. They had me sign 3 waivers. The guy literally picks me up, body slams.
They had a rabbi out there to read him his last rites, too.
We do a route against a defensive back who had played at Booker T, who had won the national championship the year before. Yeah. And I'm thinking it's going to be fun. I go to catch it. He levels me, and they're all laughing. So I'm just warning you, we will come. I'll even do some fun drills. Let the guys have some fun. I just don't want to. That's all I'm asking.
He looked like Tua Tagovailoa on a couple of those hits where his head bounced off the canvas, Coach. No Daredevil stuff. That will be in the contract, okay? We'll be happy to come out there, but no Daredevil stuff.
Well, have a happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate you coming on the show. Always great. All right, there's an invitation. Do we do it?
Do it. Yeah, I'm down. No, let's do it. It's fun.
Be kind of fun. Yeah, get outside, do the show a little bit, and see if we can't pull it off. Get a couple of these FIU guys, generating some enthusiasm for the program. They were tough against the spread.